celebrating 15 years of leadership.
Welcome back. There are less than 6 days to go for union budget. Expectations in the country, around the world, in fact, running high. The general sentiment seems to be upbeat. Pallavi Bakhru, director at Grant Thornton, are joining us to tell us more about what India's expectations are from Arun Jaitley. Thanks, Pallavi, for joining us here from CNBC TV 18. A lot of people are saying that perhaps this union budget is going to be the most important one after 1991. What is your survey showing up? Can we expect radical tax reforms?
Absolutely, Nansar. I think the euphoria quotient has never been higher in terms of expectations. And it's on the back of some of the statements that have been made by the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister to say we want more investment and we want India to be open for business, and then of course the Make in India slogan. So a large percentage of the people we polled, to be precise 56% of the people who voted on our poll are actually banking on this being a major reformist tax budget.
Okay, so 56% expecting a radical budget this time round. Pallavi, now let's get specific. What kind of changes are being envisaged? And let's first cover indirect tax and corporate tax.
So I guess in indirect tax, people are more keen to see what's going to happen on GST. We know that the GST bill has got the cabinet approval, but nothing, cabinet committee approval, but nothing more has happened thereafter. And if you're really looking at a 2016 timeline, then people are sort of wondering how is every milestone going to be achieved. So it'll be nice to see some kind of a path being laid out in terms of how that is going to be achieved in terms of rolling out GST. There's no drastic change that people are expecting on the rates as far as customs and excise and service tax is concerned, because I guess it's the build-up to the GST. But yes, what people are looking for is a lot of rationalization around some of the procedural issues. For example, there's been a lot of buzz around making excise and service tax, which are both central levies. The compliance should be based on similar forms. So somewhere along the way, people are anticipating a lot of tinkering to be sort of done to make sure that compliance becomes easier in anticipation of GST. On the corporate tax side, of course, things take a different color. There is this whole conversation around SEZs getting a new lease of life by MAT being taken away and dividend distribution tax being taken away. I don't think people are anticipating a change in rate for corporate tax, but yes, there's a lot of clarification that people would like to see in things like indirect transfer. That's been quite a pain point with investors, foreign investors, for quite a while.
But let's see if any of those rates are tinkered with. We at CNBC TV 18 have picked that perhaps there will be a change. The service tax rate might be hiked, to align it with the GST. But now let's talk about direct tax. Pallavi, what is the survey showing as far as personal income tax rates go? There's an overwhelming majority of people who feel there's going to be a reduction in personal tax rates, or there's going to be an increase in the slab rate. We've had a very overwhelming response on the personal income tax side, and there is, of course, a very overwhelming sentiment that the limits on the ATC, which is the limit for investments, is probably going to go up, or at least that's the anticipation. People are expecting that there'll be a higher limit of interest on housing loan, which would now be allowed as a deduction. I think the general, if you look at the trend, when you look at all these exemptions, I think the general trend is that people want more surplus money in their hands, and it makes a lot of sense, because if you want to sort of really push the economy, you would like people to have more disposable income so that there is more consumption and there is more investment and savings. But Pallavi, in light of the fact the Finance Minister said he has this daunting challenge of meeting 4.1% fiscal deficit, how realistic is it? Is there enough headroom for him to actually tinker so much with the personal income tax slabs?
I guess it's a balancing act. Every budget is, and there is very little expectation for corporate tax rates to be going up, really. In fact, we were quite surprised. But sort of survey results even showed that MAT, there's been a lot of buzz within the media amongst corporates saying that the MAT rates at 18.5% are prohibitive, and especially if you want to sort of encourage companies to come and invest, and especially for manufacturing, which are typically capital intensive, then 18.5% MAT to be paid even when you don't have taxable profits is a little intimidating. But surprisingly, we find that people are being realistic.
and they haven't sort of predicted a rate of change as far as corporate tax is concerned or even MAT is concerned. So I guess somewhere there'll be a trade-off. There are individuals who definitely feel that there could be lowering of rates so they could have more consumable income left behind in their hands.
It would be nice to have higher disposable income. It'll be interesting to see if anything is done on the MAT front. Year after year, industries ask every finance minister to try and scrap it or reduce it, but that really hasn't been the case. Thanks, Pallavi, for joining us with the findings of that survey. We look forward to having you back after the union budget. We're totally out of time, so to wrap up this edition of Reporters Diary, thanks for watching.